My grandfather left the village of Haryana and he reached Mumbai to start a snack stall at the Santa Cruz railway station. Now, after much toiling, he then went on to acquire a few hotels and restaurants. That's a story. When a chaiwala becomes a prime minister or a bus conductor becomes a national superstar, that's again an incredible story. But when a third generation hotelier starts a restaurant, that's not a mind-blowing story, is it? Then why am I here? Many of you all must be pondering on what should you do in life. But when a life's path is handed over to you, should you be questioning? I had the same anxiety because right from the very beginning, it was quite obvious that I would be joining an industry which my father and grandfather thrived in for 50 years. Now, for any aspiring hotelier or restaurateur, having a solid base would be an ideal scenario, right? But not for me. I yearned to do something on my own, start something ground up, just the way like my grandfather did. I grew up inside a hotel and I was surrounded by food. I have seen food being celebrated and every meal being thoughtfully prepared. Now that taught me a very important message, that food really connects people and it makes people really happy. Am I right? Also, I have grown up with a huge Burmese influence. My mother was born and brought up in Burma for the first 20 years of her life. And then she migrated to India when the military took over. So naturally over the dinner table while I was growing up, my little ears were filled with the tales of old Rangoon and my stomach with cow's milk. It was a great time. I somehow wanted to visit the country. In fact, when I grew up, I saw a lot of my mamajis wearing lungis, and in fact, in one of the fancy dress competitions in my school, I even tried wearing one. But somehow it managed to untie itself in the middle of my speech, and the rest is history. So I really wanted to visit the country, and back in 2008, I finally visited. And believe me, I was stunned. It was nothing like I had ever imagined. The moment I stepped inside, I was transported into a different world. I was taken aback by the humility and the contrast in culture that I had witnessed coming from India. I discovered the cities, walked remote locations, celebrated the customs, and made friends. And it was during one of the visits in Burma in the month of July that I happened to witness a beautiful Buddhist tradition called Vasa, also known as a Buddhist Lent. Now, during Vasa, the Burmese monks completely devote themselves to absolute meditation, and the Burmese people love to celebrate it by practicing policies such as abstaining from meat, alcohol, smoking. They walked around the villages begging for alms of food to serve the elderly people. It was a beautiful place. And more importantly, what they did was they served mankind. Now, it was during those days that I spent in Burma, I experienced an epiphany that changed my life. I somehow wanted this philosophy of Vasa to be a very big part of my life and share the power of quiet meditation that it offered. And believe me, I wanted to take it the best way I could. And so, I connected the two biggest dots of my life. I connected my mother's Burmese heritage with my father's legacy. And that was 8 years back. Today I stand in front of you. The dream that I've come back with has transformed itself into a chain of restaurants. But the ride hasn't been easy, my friends. I was terrified, I was nervous and overworked. Terrified for the fact that will this unheard of cuisine ever work in India? Nervous? Now, despite the glamour associated with the restaurant industry, the failure rates were astronomically high. And overworked because I had much to learn and experience within that small, short span of time. So naturally, after reaching back, I enrolled myself into a hotel school. Now, I cannot share with you the joy that I felt cooking my first meal or making my first cocktail. It was the college who helped me to learn the technical aspects of the business. But I wanted to walk the talk because the main ingredient was missing, which is the guest. So quickly after graduating, I got selected as a management trainee in one of the leading hotels in the country. And believe me, I had no idea what I signed up for. Far from it being a piece of cake, it was I who got picked. I still remember that for starts, in my first week into my job, I was handed a gunny bag filled with ice and I was asked to slam it with a dhobiwala bag for 2 hours every single day. Now there I was wondering that how can one of the leading hotels in the world are still stuck, by slamming the gunny bag with the ice and doesn't have access to an ice crusher. But years later, it taught me a very important lesson, that there are no shortcuts in life. If I really wanted to unfold my sail and unlock the true potential, then hard work, patience and determination had to be my base. So during my stint of 3 years at the job at various places, I performed duties ranging from wiping glasses to running across the street to get balloons for the kids of my guests. Who thought my job would require me to be a marriage counselor, a babysitter, or sometimes even a personal shopper? But I loved every bit of it. So, empowered with the learnings from my school and enriched with the learnings which I got from my job, I finally decided to set the wheels of my dream in motion. Now, maths is very important for any business, but it is the chemistry which the team members share which is also very crucial. So, and I was very certain of the fact that I wanted to make the best team possible. Because believe me, it takes an army of extremely creative and talented people to bring any idea to life. And your organization is only as good as its people. So it is inevitable for me to go out and build a team with a healthy ecosystem. Luckily for me, I didn't have to look too far for a person who could bring out the same taste in food that I grew up relishing. My hotel management school friend, Chef Ankit, who was a regular at my mother's Burmese feast, joined me in my Burmese endeavor. Both of us got together, we traveled extensively in Burma. We cooked with the locals, we experimented with my family homegrown recipes and organized different pop-ups in and around the country. Now, it was during that time that I realized that I needed a co-founder who could fuel the business aspect of my Burmese adventure. And again, my cricket buddy and my food guide and my long-term friend of 25 years, Chirag Chajil, joined my Burmese adventure as a professional pillar of strength. And thanks to him, we have been able to convert and transform our ambitious adventure of serving a new cuisine into a concept and numbers that has the potential to be a global phenomenon. Now, it is very well said that when friends become your workmates, it works no longer work. It is like heading to a practical classroom where ideas are discussed and executed. And we were in this classroom for 3 years. And finally the day had come. It was in the year 2014 that we opened our first outlet in Mumbai. I still remember that we were waiting very eagerly to see the look on the faces of the people who tried the first bite of Burma that we had created. And we were jumping with joy in the kitchen when the plates came clean. Few months into our operations, all our innovations had melted away. We instantly knew that we had touched a chord even with the non-vegetarians. Because we had gone inside to develop a world where everyone is a part of it. I still cannot tell you the joy that I feel when each guest of mine leaves the restaurant with a happy smile on their face. But of course, there were few people who scoffed at the idea of a Burmese vegetarian restaurant without alcohol, and some who even giggled when they heard dishes like the tea leaf salad and the samosa soup. But today, we have sold more than 250,000 of each of those dishes at our outlets. 4 years into our operation, we have evolved quite a lot. Not only in terms of the food that we offer, but also the representation of the Burma that we set out to create. So how unconventional is this story? I say not so much. It is a very unconventional story. So this is the restaurant which we opened. I took something which was very close to me, and I dedicated my entire life in working towards it, and I delivered it in the best way possible. Now people think that Burmese restaurant with a tea room is unique. But believe me, Burmese restaurant has always been in the forefront throughout the world. And didn't we all grow up visiting the vegetarian restaurants and the chai walas? Very conventional, right? Now let me share with you some more conventional values which are very crucial to my journey. To find our future, we sometimes peer into the distance, only to find that the best views are behind us. My mother nourished me with stories and curiosity of Burmese cuisine at the dinner table, which helped me to find out my future in my past. But it was my instincts that helped me to delve deeper. My practice of Vipassana for the last 10 years has helped me to learn from within and execute my instincts. It has also helped me to keep my stead no matter how turbulent the day is, because in my industry, every day is turbulent. So what is so special about my story? My story is not about rags to riches. It's not about a cuisine, and it's definitely not about me. It is a story which outlines a very basic idea. Keep it simple. It's a simple message of simplicity. Burma Burma is a consequence of an idea which is executed to the best of our capability. Now to answer the first question which I started, why am I here? I think I am here because I dedicated, every day I choose to dedicate myself in mastering, loving, and living all the conventional values that I just shared with you today. And I hope someday that even you will find something conventional to dedicate yourself to. Because it is not always the ideas that are unconventional. It is mostly the execution. And finally, Burma Burma, we say it twice, because there is one Burma which resides in me, which shows me my life's path, and there is a Burma which resides outside me, which helps it to make a living. Mingla.